Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I need to tell you this story. I tell stories every day because we're wired for narrative, and I tell a story. The story within you comes forth. I try not to respond to what's going on in popular media, social media. I don't like to refute things. I like to create. I like to be creative and original and authentic to who I am. But there's a story going around, and I have insight, early insight in it, personally and as a sociologist. So, Steve Harvey, I was teaching at Kent State University, finishing my PhD, and doing stand-up comedy. I know, right? I was using humor to combat issues of racism, sexism, and the ills and inequalities in society. And I knew Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey was like a mentor to me. He would tell me which clubs to avoid, which people were trying to pay you with Coke instead of money. When you were going someplace, most people would stay in a comedy condo back then. And he would say, no, you need to get your own place. You don't need to be in there with these people, what have you. It was really like a big brother, very kind. But the other thing that people don't know, he would sit in my classes. He would come on campus and sit in the classes and absorb every and anything that he possibly could. The other thing that was interesting was when he started out, I think his twins were born, but he was struggling, to really make ends meet and to pay things. And I think that, things were sometimes difficult or whatever, but he would take any job there was. And because, most of these places didn't pay a lot back then. Comedy was new on the scene. This is the early 80s. And it was really, really new, late 70s, early 80s, like 80. And never forget one night, he asked my roommate and I, my roommate is Dr. Bernita Berry, he asked us to go to this thing that he had to do because he didn't want to be in there by himself. And he was doing comedy in a strip club. And so we went, and he was like, it's me and the naked ladies. I got to tell jokes between the naked ladies. Can you please, somebody come? And it was like his soul was wounded, and we laughed so hard. Years later, I saw him when he was doing his television show, and I happened to be in town, and his makeup wardrobe person, the person in charge of the look, happened to have been my makeup artist, a man named Earl, who is my brother, and I love him dearly. And so he said, come by the show. And I said, great, I'll say hi to Steve, because I hadn't seen him in 1,000 years. And so I go and I'm like, hey, I want to say hi to Steve. They were like, you gotta wait. This was not Earl, this was everybody else. Let me make sure. So I go by, they're having a meeting, and I'm like saying hi, and people are like, no, you gotta wait. And I was like, what? What is this about? Why do we have to wait? So when Steve came out to say hello, he was like, I think the audience was already there. We were on the side of the audience or something. We were there. And he went down a different hallway, and nobody was talking to him. Nobody was looking at him. You can't. So he sees me, and he goes, oh my God, Bertice. And he comes over and he just hugs me. And he's got tears in his eyes because he's seeing, like the years and the struggle. And he remembered those days of the coming up. And all of that was in that exchange. And people were like, oh my God, what? He's touching her. Who is she? What's going on? Why is he? Oh my God, we've never seen him react like that. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? And he was like, so many people are telling me that I owe them for this, and that I took this, and they're demanding this, and because I made it. And, he was saying this kind of privately, but you could see the pain in it. And here's the part where I come in as a sociologist. He and most comedians are not as extroverted as people would think they are. They're very introverted. Comedy is the hardest job you can have next to that of clergy. It is the hardest job and the most thankless job. It is extremely demeaning and demanding on your soul. You're constantly working for laughs when you could have this purpose of something else. It is very difficult to do. And so you could see that he had struggled with having struggled so hard to make it, and then making it and struggling because he had made it and the isolation of making it. Now, I'm not defending him because I don't know him now. I knew him then. But there's a core of that person, that way of being, that sometimes the rest of us kind of jump on and glum on. And, did he steal somebody's bit? I remember once he asked me to sell him a bit that I used to do about Leon Spinks. I would put this tape on my mouth and I go, hi, my name is Leon Spinks. And I would do this toothpaste commercial as Leon Spinks, which is really funny. And he says, sell me that bit. And I was like, no. He's like, if you don't sell it to me, I'm going to steal it. And I said, no, you won't. And he was like, no, I won't. So sell it to me. And I was like, And then when I stopped, really doing comedy, he was like, come on, sell me the bit. It was like, no. Never saw him do the bit, of course. But, may have. And that was a part of the thing. It was a part of the reason why I kind of stopped doing it, because I do these things that came from the soul of a Black woman with a PhD who was a sociologist, and then I'd see them on television, and the next time I do them, somebody would say, that's not yours. So anyway, not defending anyone. I love a lot of the humor of Cat Williams. I love a lot of the stuff. People who know me know that I despise the N-word, so I don't see a whole lot as a result of that. But I love his brilliance. I love his Cat's humanitarian efforts. I love what he does in the world. I love Steve. I love anybody doing that job who seeks to do it to provide joy and to uplift others. It is a terribly difficult job. Those who get in it to be popular don't last long. Those who get in it to get to something, you don't make it for long. But those who have a gift to do it, a true gift to do it, it is demeaning, it is demanding, it is very hard on your soul. And the cost of fame is something that I don't think people understand. When people call me famous, I'm like, I'm a hardworking person. I'm far from famous. But when I was on a nationally televised show on a daily basis, I preferred to stay at home working on that show than to be out at parties or clubs or being seen. It is very, very difficult. I've talked longer than I wanted to about this, but just understand that there's more to all of this than all of us know. And understanding that there are humans involved in these things, and humans with hearts big as the world, because the opposite of that humor is the pain that it came from. And so trying to do this thing and stand there and do it and to do it joyfully and to give your best is not easy by far. But trying to do it under all the glare and the lights is almost impossible. I love you.